welcome back. So today we're continuing with our nitrocellulose job. If you haven't seen the first two videos, this will be the third one in the series, I guess. So first we did our sanding sealer work. Before that, actually, we did some grain filling, but that's not on video for this particular job because I already have a grain filling tutorial. And then after the sanding sealer, we did the white. So right now, this guitar has a very thin finish on it, a nice opaque nitrocellulose white. And it's time for us to do some ambering work. So if you haven't seen the previous videos, which you should, hopefully, let me just explain it a little bit. The customer on this one wants to do a relic vintage finish. That's why we're doing nitrocellulose, so that it yellows over time and it's nice and thin and it's got that very vintage feel to it. However, he doesn't want to wait 30 years for it to happen naturally. Like I said, he's doing a relic finish. So we're going to yellow it out a little bit today and make it look like it's kind of old. Now, if you've seen one of those vintage guitars, a yellowed nitrocellulose finish, it's not even. The yellowing occurs more where you're touching it more and stuff like that. So we're going to try and get that effect today by using some amber in our clear lacquer and being selective about what we spray. So the customer has sent me a couple of reference photos, which is always a good idea when you're having someone paint something for you. If you've got reference photos, it makes it much easier and a little more certain, if you will. So here's kind of what he's going for. I'm just going to show you on my iPad. Right, so he's going for something like that. More yellowing at the bottom here, around the top of the pick guard. Sorry, can't really see what I'm doing there. And where your arm rests on it. And then if it'll let me, here we go. And then the back where it's against your body, quite a bit of yellowing there as well. So I'm going to do a little bit to the whole finish, but I'm going to focus on those areas that are more yellowed out in the picture, and I'm going to do all of this while trying to keep the finish relatively thin. Once that's done, so that'll be it for this video. Once that's done, I'm going to do a clear coat, couple coats of clear. Obviously I can't do them all on the same day. This is nitrocellulose, so you can only spray a little bit at a time. So the clear coat will be going on tomorrow. But I still need that clear coat on there to protect the white. Now, that's technically an inaccurate statement because you can just polish the white. But really, you want to protect as much of it as you can. It's always better to use some clear coat on top. Sorry, I'm compulsive. I'm turning off stuff on my iPad here. It's always better to use some clear coat on top of your color to protect it if you can. As was the case previously, we're keeping this finish very thin in order to emulate what they were back when nitrocellulose finishes were popular. That's also kind of the point of using nitro, is it's a very thin finish. And also to make it easier on the guy who's relicking it after. Don't want him to have to scrape through 10 coats of paint. So I'm going to get started mixing this now. What we're going to use is the clear lacquer, the lacquer thinner. You could use retarder. I don't need it right now because it's not particularly humid out and because it's warm in here. And then finally our amber. So for the amber, I'm using a color tone concentrated liquid stain. This one I got from Stuart McDonald, StuMac Guitars. It's stumac.com if you want to look at their stuff. Yeah, personally I'm not a huge fan of StuMac. I think they charge too much for most of their stuff. And they try and sell people dumb stuff like fancy sockets to undo their tone pots and shit like that, when really it's a normal socket and you can get it for way cheaper just at a hardware store. But it's difficult because I'm in Canada for me to come across these mixable stains, so I bought them from StuMac. So I got 2 ounces of vintage amber here. I'm only going to use a few drops of it. It's concentrated, it's very strong, which is part of why these aren't a total rip-off, because you really don't need a lot. So 2 ounces of this is going to go a very long way. So what I'm going to do is mix this all up in a jar, and that way if I've got some extra, I can use it on a later job, because a clear amber is going to be very useful in a lot of circumstances. And also I'm going to go very conservative with the amount of yellow. It's easy to add more, and by yellow I mean amber. It's easy to add more, it's very difficult to remove. I'd have to wait a long time and then sand it back. So I'm gonna go conservative on that, give it a try, and then I can add more if I need to. I'm sure you all know this, but nitrocellulose lacquer is terrible for you. It's poison, smells like instant cancer. So wear a mask when you're using it, when you're mixing it, when you're spraying it. Wear a mask pretty much as often as you can when you're around this stuff. Even once you've sprayed it and the guitar is drying, you can smell it a little bit for about a month. That's how long it takes nitro to truly dry on average, is about a month. So it's nice to kind of avoid being anywhere near it during that time frame. So I'm going to throw on my mask now and start mixing this stuff, and then I'll spray it. And I'm going to film that. You can watch the mixing process. It's going to be about 50-50 lacquer and thinner, or perhaps maybe closer to 60-40 lacquer and thinner, depending on how it looks. Once I've got that together, I'm going to start adding a few drops of the amber, and then it'll be time to spray. So that's about enough of me repeating myself. I'm going to throw this on and we'll get started. Alright guys, so that marks the end of this video. The guitar has the aging and yellowing done to it now. You got a decent look at it while I was painting it, so hopefully you thought that was cool. In the next video we're going to do the clear coating. There's not a whole lot to that, you kind of know the process already, but we'll cover it just in case because there are a couple nuances. And then in the final video, which will be a month from the next one, we'll do the polishing and we'll get this out to the customer. So I hope you found this helpful or entertaining or worth watching, and thank you. See you next time.